The dream of Web3 was born out of rebellion, a collective desire to escape the grip of centralized corporations and governments that dictate the rules of the digital world. It was supposed to be our escape hatch, a decentralized internet owned by the users, governed by code, and secured by consensus. But today, that dream is being put on trial. The very systems that Web3 set out to challenge, regulators, bureaucrats, and financial authorities, are pushing back with growing intensity. From quiet policy proposals to aggressive lawsuits, the decentralized revolution now finds itself under siege. This isn't just a legal issue, it's an existential one. In this video, we're going to expose the real battle brewing beneath the surface of the blockchain world. You'll understand what regulators want, what's at risk, and most importantly, how to survive and thrive as Web3 enters its most turbulent chapter yet. Web3 isn't just technology, it's a direct threat to the foundations of centralized power. Governments have always held control over identity, finance, and communication. Banks act as gatekeepers to the global economy. Social media platforms harvest data and monetize your life. Web3 flips that entire model on its head, giving users ownership, transparency, and sovereignty, and that terrifies institutions built on control. When you can send money peer-to-peer without permission, you weaken the role of traditional banks. When DAOs can govern communities without centralized leadership, you disrupt corporate hierarchy. When a blockchain doesn't care what passport you hold, you challenge nation-state boundaries. Regulators understand this. They're not just trying to protect consumers, they're trying to protect the system that Web3 is slowly dismantling. That's why you're seeing a regulatory push, and it's why every Web3 project, from NFTs to DeFi to identity solutions, must now operate with eyes wide open. One of the most effective weapons in the regulatory arsenal is compliance, particularly Know Your Customer, KYC, and anti-money laundering, AML requirements. These rules sound harmless. After all, who wants terrorists using crypto? But beneath the surface, they're being used to redefine the very idea of privacy. In many jurisdictions, platforms are now forced to collect identifying data on users, often storing it in centralized databases, which are themselves prone to hacks or surveillance. Privacy tools like Tornado Cash have been sanctioned. Developers of open-source protocols have been arrested. And privacy coins like Monero and Zcash are under increasing scrutiny. This isn't just about protecting against crime, it's about shifting the default from freedom to surveillance. In the old world, being anonymous was normal. In the new world, being anonymous is suspicious. That shift has massive implications for builders and users alike. The danger isn't in stopping crime, it's in criminalizing privacy itself. In the United States, the biggest battlefield for Web3 is playing out in the courtroom. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has taken an aggressive stance against crypto, launching lawsuits against high-profile players like Ripple, Coinbase, and Binance. Their goal? To classify most crypto tokens as securities, and therefore subject to the same complex regulations as stocks and bonds. But here's the problem. These rules were written in the 1930s. They weren't designed for decentralized protocols, token economies, or borderless communities. Still, the SEC is trying to apply these outdated frameworks to a radically different world. If they succeed, it could mean the end of permissionless innovation in the United States. Token creators could be required to register with the SEC, platforms might be forced to delist popular tokens, and developers could become legally responsible for what their code is used for. But if the courts push back, if projects like Ripple and Coinbase win, we could finally get clear rules that support innovation instead of crushing it. Either way, the outcome of these cases will shape the future of Web3 for years to come. Web3 doesn't care about borders, but governments do, and that's creating a wave of regulatory fragmentation across the world. In the United States, policy is being shaped through enforcement. Lawsuits first, rules later. In Europe, the EU passed MiCA, the first wide-reaching crypto framework that defines stablecoins, trading platforms, and token issuers. It's a more organized approach, but it comes with heavy oversight and compliance obligations. Asia is split. Japan and South Korea have leaned into regulation and embraced Web3 development. China has cracked down, while Hong Kong is opening its doors again. Meanwhile, countries like the UAE, El Salvador, and Singapore are competing to become crypto havens. For any project operating internationally, this creates a minefield. A token that's legal in one country may be banned in another. A DAO that runs fine in one jurisdiction might be considered an illegal enterprise in the next. The global nature of Web3 means you can't afford to ignore regulation, even if it hasn't reached your region yet. Regulatory arbitrage, the practice of launching where rules are friendly, is becoming a survival strategy. Until recently, DeFi was considered too technical for regulators to bother with. DAOs were viewed as niche experiments. And NFTs? Just digital art, right? Not anymore. DeFi protocols are now being treated like unlicensed financial institutions. If you offer lending, yield farming, or token swaps, you might fall under securities law, banking law, or both. DAOs are facing tough questions about accountability. A U.S. court has already ruled that DAO members can be held personally liable for protocol actions, especially if they vote on proposals. Even NFTs are getting pulled into the mix. When projects offer profit-sharing, fractionalized ownership, or royalty structures, they begin to look like investment contracts. That brings them into legal territory once reserved for IPOs and stock offerings. The message is clear. Web3 structures don't exist in a vacuum. If they mimic financial activity, they will be treated like financial instruments. Even if you're not a builder or a founder, regulation matters. It affects how you use Web3, and whether you'll be able to use it at all. You might wake up to find your favorite dApp is geo-blocked because of new sanctions. Your wallet could be flagged or frozen due to arbitrary blacklists. You might face legal scrutiny for interacting with a protocol that's later deemed illegal. Worse, the tools you use today, wallets, DEX, DeFi dashboards, may be forced to implement KYC, removing the pseudonymity that makes Web3 feel empowering in the first place. And don't forget taxes. Governments around the world are increasing pressure on exchanges to report crypto activity, and new rules are emerging that treat even small DeFi interactions as taxable events. You need to think like a sovereign individual, not just a casual user. That means using secure wallets, managing your own keys, tracking your trades, staying informed, because the only people who will navigate this storm intact are the ones who prepare. Web3 doesn't have to die from regulation, but it does have to adapt. The most successful builders in the next cycle won't be the ones who ignore regulation. They'll be the ones who build tools that respect user freedom while staying legally resilient. That might mean creating dApps with modular compliance layers, launching tokens that offer utility, not speculative promises, using legal wrappers for DAOs to protect members, decentralizing teams, infrastructure, and governance from the start. For users, adaptation means more than compliance. It means making intentional choices, where you store your crypto, what tools you trust, what platforms you support with your time and money, because Web3 is entering a new era, one where freedom must be defended with strategy, not slogans. This isn't just about regulation, it's about resilience. And that begins with you.